Hello friends, welcome to the lecture number 3 for our PHP Complete Guide for Beginners. In this tutorial we will discuss all about PHP syntax and variables in PHP. In PHP, the parser in the web browser interprets a PHP code with a starting tag of left angle brackets $PHP and right angle bracket as the ending tag of PHP. We can put comments in PHP. They could be of two kinds, a single line comment or a multi-line comment. You will see shortly as we play with the code. Conceptually, if we want to understand, a variable in any programming language is a temporary placeholder. So variable is an area in memory when the program is executed, be it PHP, Java, C, C#, or any other language. It's a storage area in memory where a value is stored temporarily. When you work on programs or a website or a code to do a definite job, there would be situations where you are doing some calculations and you need some placeholders to store values so that you can display it, synthesize it, and then show it to the user. Variables come handy for all those situations. In PHP, there is no specific syntax for defining a variable. You just start using a variable by assigning a value to it, and that's how you create it. The variable names in PHP start with a $sign, and the names of the variables are case sensitive. Also, the variable names can only contain alphabets or numbers 1 to 9 and underscore. Nothing else can be part of a variable name. Variable names cannot start from a number. They have to start either from a letter or alphabet, or they have to start from an underscore. Now let's quickly talk about the 4 data types, and we will shortly see in our code snippet as well. They are strings, integer, numeric with a value without a decimal. It could be negative or positive. A float, a number with a decimal point, and a Boolean, which is essentially variable storing two states. Another thing which we need to remember is that there are certain keywords or reserve words in PHP like in any other language. Here is a list of keywords in PHP, and your variable name cannot be one of these. So that's another thing which you need to remember when you code. What you see here are keywords in PHP which are designated to do certain specific things defined in PHP library, and all of these cannot be our variable name. Anything apart from that is all good. Constants are much like variable. However, the basic difference is the value of a constant will not change, and it uses define function in PHP to create a constant. They do not require a $prefix when we use them. Let's go to our code now, and I'll try to show you some variable examples. So here I have created a file, PHP file. I have named it as sandbox-variables.php, and if I show you where I have kept it, under our Mac you see lamp folder. If you are on Windows you will see a similar folder, and under that htdocs is where our web root is, or our document root is. This is the place where browser or my local host looks for the files to open. So if I go inside htdocs, I have created a file sandbox-variables.php, which is this file. In this file, as you would note, there are some HTML tags. I have HTML starting tag, ending tag, a head tag of HTML where we have title of this page. And this is how, as we just saw, how a PHP code can be written. This is the starting tag of PHP, left angle bracket $PHP, and this is the ending tag of PHP. Whatever comes in between forms our PHP code. Then you see this HTML body tag, heading tag, and again here we see that PHP code has started, and here the PHP code has ended. If you observe, I have created 4 variables. First one I have named as var integer, assigned a value of 42. Second one as var float, assigned a value of 42.34. var string, this is our first string. var boolean, true. Let's try to print these 4 variables. So echo integer variable colon and the variable $var integer and a break tag, HTML break tag. Echo float variable colon $variable float and break tag again. So similarly, I have printed all these 4 variables. Let's try to save this and go to our web browser and go to the local host. Here, as I told you, that it's in our htdocs folder, sandbox-variables.php. So we need to just go to localhost and type sandbox-variables.php and say enter. And here we see our PHP script running, where these 4 echo statements are displaying the values of these 4 variables. I also want to touch upon something called automatic type conversion. So in PHP, it's not that once you define an integer, $var integer, it cannot store a value of a float. If I show you here, I take this variable and I store inside variable 55.45. So now in this integer variable, I am storing a float value. Let me try to display this variable again. Let us try to display this variable and save this and run this again. So you see this integer variable now has a value of 55.45. So that means automatic type conversion has happened and the variable is now a float variable. However, this practice is not recommended unless you specifically need it to achieve a goal. You should not rely on automatic type conversions, and one should try to stick to the variables definitions what you did initially. Constant usage. So let's try to define a constant. As we saw variables, we understand now. Let's try to define a constant. Constant is always defined by a function define, and here let's name it as title. This is constant title. So I have defined a constant, name is title, and let's display this constant. Echo, there is no $sign for our constant, so echo title. Let's see, this is constant title. So if you see echo title, I have not used $sign and it has displayed the value of the constant. In PHP, we have many functions where you can manipulate strings. Here are a couple of them. String length, to return a length of a string. Word count, str underscore word underscore count. It's a inbuilt PHP function to return count of words in a string. String reverse reverses a string. This next one, strpos, returns position of a character in a string. And string underscore replace finds and replaces text. Let's try to see in code. Here I have sandbox-strings.php. I created a new file, and this is where our PHP code is starting. I have defined a variable, and variable name is original string. And let us understand string manipulation in PHP language. This is what we have assigned to our string. I also want to point out, guys, here that If you notice, I have used camel case for naming the variable. Camel case naming of variables makes it very easy for anybody to understand what the variable denotes and what it means. Readability increases by a good extent. Here we have defined our string variable. Let's try to first see the original variable. Let's output the original variable, original string, and break, concatenate, break. So this is another way I wanted to show you how we can insert break. Dot is a concatenate operator in PHP. So here essentially what we are doing is original, displaying the variable value. This whole becomes a string and we concatenate it using the dot operator with another string, which is nothing but a HTML break tag. And let's try to save it and go to our web browser and say sandbox. Strings.php. So original, let us understand string manipulation in PHP language. It works perfectly. Second is length. So we will use a variable strlen and right. So we have used the inbuilt PHP function strlen and passed the argument, our variable name, to the function. Let's save it and go to our web browser to see. If you see, let us understand string manipulation PHP language. So if you see, literally it has not executed this function. However, it has, let me put first this in comment so that you understand which part of code is being executed. So let me execute it again. So this original is pretty clear. We have displayed the original variable. Here in length, PHP interpreter has literally taken this whole thing and length strl, rather than executing this inbuilt PHP function, it has literally translated it to the print or echo statement strlen. To solve this, we need to make this as a character length, what we want to display as a label, and then concatenate it using the dot operator with this inbuilt function and concatenate this with the ending break tag. So now if I try to run this, I get perfectly length as 53. So hope you understand PHP interpreter, when it works on this program, it sees it has to display this double quotes literal, and then it concatenates the inbuilt function strlength, passing an argument of variable, where we are passing argument of variable. This value which the PHP interpreter receives is concatenated to this literal. At the tail of this value is concatenated a break tag. So the end result is length is 53, which is displayed perfectly. Next function what we will use is word count. Word count. So the function is str word count. I save this file and run this file. I see 8 words in our original string. The next function is string reversal. I pasted string reversed. Let us see. You see here it has reversed the complete string. So the next function what we will try to test is the replace function. So let's try to string replaced. So replace function is different from other functions what we saw here. Replace function accepts 3 arguments: str underscore replace. The first argument is the string which you want to search. So let's search for manipulation in our string. Second argument would be the replacement string. So the search string manipulation from what you want to replace instead of manipulation. So let's put operations instead of manipulation. And the third argument is the variable where you want to do the replacement. So it looks all good. Let's try to save this and run this. So if you see string replaced, let us understand string operations in PHP language. So successfully our string is replaced, manipulations is replaced by operations. So you saw how we replaced. Another thing which I want to tell you is that let us try to use constant to make it little bit more readable our code. So for that let's define a constant here, or maybe at the start under head let us create a PHP starting tag and ending tag, and inside this let us create a constant. Define name of this constant is br, and it will have the HTML break tag. I am doing this just to make this code little bit more readable. So if you see here, we use this concatenated the break tag literals. So now that we have defined br constant which has value br tag, we can simply get away with this and concatenate it with br. I replaced everywhere with the br tags. Let me save it and let's try to run this. So see, if you see, the end result is absolutely same. So successfully we created a constant, and then everywhere in our code we just used for HTML break tag, we used our constant. Hopefully you found this interesting. Let's meet now in our next lecture, lecture number 4 on PHP operators, and we will discuss anything and everything about the various arithmetic and assignment operators in PHP. See you there.